Very good afternoon. Now it is. I'm conscious that I'm between you and your lunch, so we shall move at a brisk pace. Okay, first of all, let's have a quick show of hands. Hands up, please, if you have a profile on LinkedIn. Okay, hands down. Now put your hands up if you know why you have a profile on LinkedIn. 3. Okay, fine. So we will explore some of this and try and get behind some of the mystery of the internet and social media, but in particular LinkedIn. And I'm going to focus on LinkedIn because it really is the one website, the one tool amongst the social networking products, sites that are out there that really, really will be of enormous value to you. One of the things that's come through to us loud and clear today as we've been listening is that we're going through a period of change. Then again, we're always going through a period of change. But if there is one thing that really, really is going to catch us unawares if we don't be aware of it, and that's the internet, the speed at which the internet is changing absolutely everything. If you want to follow me at all online, on Twitter, please use these particular tags. So one of the things I'm going to do is I've got a lot of material on how you can win and find new customers, new clients on LinkedIn. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, I will send you a link to a resource that you can do, which is basically this presentation plus a lot more besides. Okay, so out there, when somebody wants information on personal finance or information about money, the first place that consumers now go is the internet. It's the first place. And those of you that believe that those clients of yours or those prospects of yours who are in their 60s or their 50s or their 70s or their 80s, if you think that they don't go to the internet, then please think again. It is still the case that about 20% of financial advisors don't have a website. And when you ask them, why don't you have a website, one of the first things they say is, well, we don't need to have a website because our clients are of a certain age. All the statistics that come out time and time again prove that to be incorrect. Consumers of all ages are using the internet for research purposes, and even if they are of a certain age or they really, really are not interested in the internet, then they ask their family to help them with it. So everybody is using the internet. Now, a lot of financial advisors see this as a potential threat to their business, to the ongoing, because we all know the amount of websites, the amount of tools that people can use to do DIY financial planning are absolutely amazing. But you have to ask other professions, do you feel under threat from the internet? Let's take the medical profession, for example. You go to any doctor today, and they will tell you that the number of people who turn up for their appointment today with a sheaf of papers that they printed off Google is amazing. And the conversation goes something like this: Doctor, I've had a pain here for the last 6 days or so, and I've been onto the internet, and I think I've got this. And the doctors will say, that's really interesting. So how do you think we should treat that? Oh, well, I've looked that up as well. And now the doctors will tell you that 50% of the time they've got for day-to-day ailments, they've got the diagnosis about right, but they've got the treatment very, very wrong. And they will tell you, they'll say to the patient, well, that's really interesting. You know, given my 20 years in the medical profession, given all those exams that I took all those years ago, and given that I know your medical records, I think we'll go with this course of treatment rather than your course of treatment. How do you feel about that? Oh, yes, doctor. Now, the interesting thing that comes out of this is that whilst consumers are empowered to find out about anything, be it personal finance or be it medical conditions, they still need the sign-off of a professional. They still need the prescription to come from a professional, and that is you guys. And doctors will tell you this is really good news. The internet is not a threat to the medical profession. The internet is empowering people, and they're saying it is fantastic that given access to a certain amount of information, people can now start to do a certain amount of DIY diagnosis. So we simply cannot afford to take this attitude when it comes to the internet. Now, there's an organisation out there called Edelman, and they every single year come up with a thing called the Trust Barometer, and they measure the degree to which companies and brands and industries are trusted. You'll notice that there's an industry missing off that list. Now, we don't need to go into the whys and wherefores of why that particular industry is down at the bottom. Many, many years have told us this, but all of a sudden we're starting to think this really, really must change. And it's in our hands, it's in each and every one of our hands to change this perception of our trustworthiness as an industry or as a profession. And guess what's come along? A tool in the nick of time has come along to help us, and it's called social media. In fact, it's based around the principle that people buy people. Always have done and always will do. So we now have an opportunity where we've really got to take our heads out of the sand and start using the tools that are available to us to really start to build trust in our profession and really use it to find new clients, because they're out there. And if we don't use the internet, if we don't stay up to date on what technology is doing, guess what? Bad stuff happens. Bad stuff is happening on the high street all the time. I mean, the one that amazes me is Kodak. Kodak was the darling of the photography world for many, many years. It made its money out of film and out of photographic paper. And guess what Kodak invented? The digital camera. Yes, Kodak invented the digital camera, and there was a famous board meeting one particular afternoon where Kodak were going to decide, do we invest more money into digital photography? And they decided, no, we won't do that. And the reason that's in the minutes of this meeting is that if we invest in digital cameras, invest in the digital photography world, it will damage our core market of film and photographic paper. And today, Kodak are only just starting to come out of bankruptcy. Even companies in the technology world that aren't sharp, that aren't on the case, that aren't up to it, that aren't aware of what's going on, are in deep doo-doo. There was a time when you could walk down the carriage of a train and every single person was on a BlackBerry. BlackBerry are in trouble. Here's something else, change happening to us right under our noses. This is the front cover from the New York Times last year, one particular day. And photographers all around the world, and I mean professional photographers all around the world, were shocked and incensed at this picture. Why? Because that picture was taken on an iPhone. Get over it, photographers. Move on. Technology is invading your space. If you don't differentiate, you don't change, you're going to miss out. Okay, so moving on to social media and how does this affect us? Here's a really interesting graph, and what it's showing is that up until about May 2010, the thing we did on the internet most was search for stuff. Porn mostly, but search for stuff is what we did. I've taken that line out of the graph for this particular slide. But the orange line that you're looking at there also shows that we were doing something else, and slowly but surely the number of visits to social networking sites reached and then overtook the number of visits to search engines. Increasingly, we now all use social media as a search engine. And when you think about it, we do it all the time, particularly if we're on Facebook, particularly if we're on Twitter. And there's now evidence to show that increasing numbers of us now prefer to use social media to do our searching than prefer to use Google, Bing, and traditional search engines. That's why Google is bringing in services like Google+, because Google recognizes that we prefer to get search results from people we actually know because we trust them more. And here's an example where I use social media to search for something. My family and I were due to go down to southern Spain a couple of years ago. My wife's the detail person in our house, and we did some research. We wanted to find a nice villa. We needed to have a pool, needed to have some places we could go to for the kids. We needed a bit access to the coast if we could in time. Wanted some nice restaurants, maybe some places to visit, and this is the cottage that we booked, and we booked the flight separately with EasyJet, I think it was. And then about 3 weeks before we were due to go, we start hearing on the news about forest fires that are raging in southern Spain. And my wife and I said to each other in the kitchen one evening, said, wouldn't it be awful if the house that we were going to were caught up in the forest fires? 5 days before we were due to go, we get an email from the owners of the house saying, sorry, you're not going. You might have heard about the forest fires. The house doesn't exist anymore. In a panic, I rush and I go onto Google, try to find somewhere that's available with 5 days' notice, with a pool, with nice places to go, restaurants around the corner, all that good stuff. Could I find anything for the first 2 weeks in August? No, course not. So I go onto Facebook, I go onto LinkedIn, and I go onto our own site, and I typed in, I don't suppose anybody knows somebody who just happens to have a villa that's available, that's still standing, or it'd be nice if it had a pool and nice places to go and visit. Within 30 minutes, I had 5 replies from people saying, yeah, you can use our villa. And the one we eventually went for was actually a financial advisor. And they said, oh, we've been refurbishing it over the year. We didn't think we'd get any bookings, but it's yours. We'll give you 50% discount. Oh, and if you can take some photos for the website, all the better. The rest is history. So in terms of how we use the internet, one of the things we've got to get over, despite saying to you 20% of IFAs still don't have a website, I would now urge you to start thinking that your website is in fact not the be-all and end-all of your online presence. Perhaps your Facebook profile is part of it. Perhaps your Twitter profile. Perhaps your LinkedIn profile. Perhaps your Google Plus profile is now part of your online presence. And I would also urge you now not to look at these tools as just another social networking profile, but to look at them as assets of your business. And one of the problems we have with financial advisors' websites is they are just a bit vague. They tell us stuff as consumers, as sophisticated consumers who know how to use the internet, we can figure stuff out for ourselves. And quite often when we see financial advisors' websites, the solutions that you are suggesting that can be achieved are just a little bit vague. So people need to start thinking more about buying into, and they want to buy into you as people, a lot more than the glossy image that you can portray on your website. So this idea that personal branding and corporate brand, this is getting grayer all the time. And I go back to this phrase, people buy people, always have done, always will. It's an expression you know. You were taught it many, many years ago. People buy people. And that's what social media is all about. Social media, at the end of the day, is just software. Nothing more, it's just software, powered by people. So let's have a look at one particular tool and how you can use it. So first of all, if you've got social networking profiles, the facts are that as a result, after looking at your LinkedIn profile, you are far, far more likely to get a lead as a result of people doing that. When you connect with me on LinkedIn, have a closer look at this particular slide, but basically it says that LinkedIn's big. There's a lot of information on it. We've all put our details on LinkedIn, haven't we? You just put your hands up to tell me you did. You don't know why you did. Maybe you thought you were looking for a job. There is this perception that LinkedIn is in fact a fancy job site. And yes, they make most of their money from recruitment-related activities. But in actual fact, it is the most fantastically powerful personal branding and marketing tool. But it is also something else. Hands up if you've ever Googled someone before you met them for the first time. Yeah, and what did you find out about them? Very little. Yet go onto LinkedIn and you'll find quite a lot. There's also something else as well, is that if people that said they're using it as a search engine all the time, a people search engine. If you type in financial planner, you get 259,000 results. And these are the top 4 results on there. And they are the top 4 results because they follow the tips that I'm going to show you now. Also, if you take the trouble to put some effort into your LinkedIn profile page, it makes a big difference to your visibility in Google results. So what I've highlighted there, if you type in my name into Google, my LinkedIn profile comes up second in the search results. Okay, so your profile page. Unfortunately, this is the reaction that most people get when they look at a financial advisor's profile page on LinkedIn. I'm sorry, that is the case. So there is a test that we need to apply, and it's a very, very high test. It's a very high bar that you've got to meet if your profile is going to attract the attention of people on LinkedIn, attract the attention of potential business introducers, attract the attention of potential new clients. It's a high bar, and the bar is irresistible. That's what you've got to be on LinkedIn. So I said to my wife, I'm doing a presentation to the conference, and can you think of a profile of an individual that you would describe as irresistible that I could show them? And this is what she sent me. So Mr. Beckham is not on LinkedIn, but this gentleman is. Interesting. We're smiling. We quite like the look of this guy. How do you instinctively feel when you look at this guy? Do you like him? Nods of heads. We don't even know the guy. Yet he's standing up what appears to be against a prison wall. But he's got a jolly smile about him. Something like 30% of financial advisors who are on LinkedIn don't have a photo. For goodness sake, get the photo. Just the photo is enough to make a difference. Okay, this guy is Art Flater. He runs an office supplies firm in Milwaukee. You want new photocopy paper, new chairs, new desks, new tables. He's the man you go for. Now, just have a think about your LinkedIn profile right now. Just think back to when you last went on it 10 years ago, or whenever it was, and think of the words that you've got on your profile page. I know what the words you've used are. Let's have a look and see what Art has put on his profile page. Different. He stands out from the crowd. Now, you can, this is one of two things are happening here. He's either taking the mickey or he's the real deal. This guy's the real deal. This guy's testimonials are incredible for his business. He's got an online service as well, but people don't use it because they want to go to the office to see him. There's a few more of the comments that he puts on his LinkedIn profile. It's lovely stuff. He's standing out from the crowd. He's differentiating himself. So let's have a quick look at the words that are on your profile page. Yep, these are the words that are on your profile page. It really does look like you're looking for a job, doesn't it? How does that make you stand out from the crowd? How more dynamic than the next person are you? You don't stand out from the crowd. So here's a quick tip for you. If you do nothing else, follow what I'm going to tell you on this particular screen. In fact, we might even stop it right now, because we're a little bit over time today. So the first thing you need to do, and I guarantee you this will make an immediate and measurable difference to your LinkedIn profile page. First of all, get a clean sheet of paper, write out 10 to 15 keywords that sum up what you do. So if you do mortgages, you might have remortgages, you might have buy-to-let, you might have first-time buyers. They might be your keywords. Write them out in order. Put the most important ones at the top of the list. Then take the top 5 keywords and put them in each of those sections. Yep, all of us have got those sections on our LinkedIn profile page. Get your top 5 keywords into each of those sections, and I guarantee you an immediate difference in your visibility on LinkedIn. Write a nice professional headline under your name, but cram it with keywords. Customize your LinkedIn URL. Everybody gets a personalized URL. Well, you can have a personalized URL. Most people have got something like, it'll say John Smith 12796, which isn't very sexy. Customize it. You'll notice what I've done is I've taken my name out and I've put my keywords in instead. That makes an enormous difference. When someone's searching for a speaker for conferences on social media, guess who comes up on the first page? People don't look at you by accident. I know for a fact that all of you have had connection requests on LinkedIn. I'd like to connect with you. Yeah, you've all had those and you don't know what to do with them. People have done it on purpose, and these are the reasons that they spotted you on LinkedIn. Yes, you may have come up in a search. Yes, you may have done a status up. Yes, you might have updated your profile page. Yes, you might have promoted your LinkedIn page from elsewhere. People visit you on purpose. Connect with as many of them as possible. This is important. Your LinkedIn profile page is an extension of your professional image, credibility, and authority, just online. Treat it seriously. Treat it as an asset of your business. Have a nice photo. When you update your photo, it appears on the homepage of LinkedIn so everybody can see it. Think about your photo. Do you really want your glasses across your eyes there? Adam there's got a nice photo. In fact, if you've uploaded a big file, if there's lots of evidence to show if you've got a nice photo, people click on it because they want to see more of it. Some photos don't quite work. Some photos don't quite show off your professional image. We've covered that one up because he's in the room. Yeah, he's there. There's a horse. If you ever see LinkedIn take themselves quite seriously and they take these things down quite quickly. So if you ever see one of these, please send them to me because I collect them. And yeah, someone in our industry. He came up to me in all seriousness at a conference. He happened to be in the audience once. He came up to me and said, Phil, I've got a Spider-Man one as well. Add photos to your picture. This is amazing, the difference photos make to your picture. LinkedIn call it professional portfolio. You can now add PowerPoint presentations, video, photos, all kinds of good stuff. So I uploaded some particular pictures to my profile page, and I looked at the stats, the profile view stats that I've got over the last few months, I think it was, and the day after I'd uploaded the photos, that happened. Upload, because people love pictures. They love to see, they love to get a feel for you. Lay out your profile nice and neatly. Use bullet points. No waffle. Simplify it. People haven't got all the time in the world to scrutinize every word in your profile. Keep it nice and simple. If you've got some awards, passed some exams, put those in the awards section. If you care about things, there's a section, you don't even know this section even exists, but more and more consumers are profoundly influenced by your values. And there's a section that you can get across your values in there. Groups, join the groups. You can join 50 groups. You could start 50 groups where people have common interests, yeah? They're really, really powerful. It's an opportunity for you to find people. So if you want to target accountants, you want to find accountants, just search the groups for accountants and then join those groups. So one of the areas I target is conference organizers. I found this particular group called Event Peeps. It has 98,000 members, for goodness sake. All I've got to do is go in there, comment on a few things, like a few things, share a few things, and people get in touch with me. Look at the profile views that you get. They give you stats on how many people look at your particular profile. What do you think might be a good idea to do if somebody looks at your profile page? How about thank them? 98% of people never bother to thank someone who looks at your profile page. What do you suppose happens if you send a little note back saying, thanks for looking at my profile today, did anything catch your eye? What do you suppose happens when you do that? Guess what? They write back to you. Then guess what happens? Dialogue starts to take place. Then what happens? Relationships start to build. Then who knows where that could go. One more thing. Let's just finish on this one because this is a really, really important point. There's also a spot. This is Tina. She's a financial advisor in North London. There's an interest section where you have an opportunity to show the human side to you, not just the hard-nosed business person. Tina is a financial advisor. She's Greek. So surprise, surprise, in amongst her interests, she has bouzouki, yeah? Yep. You know, the stringed instrument that we hear in the tavernas. Now you'll notice that it's written in blue. When it's written in blue, it means it's clickable. So why don't we click on the word bouzouki and see what we find? We find everybody else on LinkedIn who's got bouzouki in their profile. Now, Tina is looking to grow her financial advice practice at the moment. She's looking for more financial planners to come on board. Guess what we find, or what she finds? Immediately under her own name is another financial advisor from Cyprus. Do you think they've got something in common? Do you think when she gets in touch with him and says, I'm looking to expand my business, how do you suppose he would normally react? Well, if it was from a recruiter, you might not react very responsibly. But if she says, well, I'm Greek, I've got bouzouki in my profile page, we've got something in common. People by people. And human beings have an innate desire and need to be near and with other people like themselves. Use LinkedIn to find people like you. And I'll just finish off by showing, in my interests, yep, when I'm not doing this, I do kickboxing. That's how I keep audiences in check when they start getting a bit leery. Now, one of my projects is to get involved with more banks in London to give them social media training. So I kick on kickboxing, and after a bit of narrowing down and filtering, I find somebody who's at Lloyd's Bank who's also got kickboxing, Roland. So how would I normally get in touch with Roland? I'd send him this, wouldn't I? You've all received this? No, that's not what I send him, because at that point when he receives that, we've got nothing in common. He doesn't know me from Adam. Simple, simple little tip. Next time you connect with somebody on LinkedIn, at the very least, personalize it with their name. So what could I send to Roland? How about this? Do you think he's going to respond now? You bet he is. Okay, I'm going to wind up there because I'm conscious it's lunchtime, and I said we've run over time just a little bit. If you'd like lots more on this, lots more about the psychology of using social media, the power of people buying people, then please find me on LinkedIn. Connect me. Don't send, do you want to fight, okay? Everybody does that. I'd be more than happy to send you a link to a much, much longer presentation with a lot more detail, and then you can go through your LinkedIn profile page line by line, and I guarantee you, you will find more clients as a result. Thank you very much for your time.
Super, thank you very much. Excellent.